is Golden Heroes session. I have no idea. This is Legacy of Eagles part 2, I believe. And I'm sure I can always edit that out if I'm wrong. I still haven't posted the last one yet, so apologies for that. But life has been getting in the way, but I will get around to it. So this is Legacy of Eagles part 2. So for the benefit of those listening at home in their thousands and Kerrin, so following your first adventure together, which was where you dealt with the alien princess, as you may recall. So last session, our heroes were called upon by Dice again to assist in the defense of a prisoner transport. A truck was under attack, and Dice had asked you to intervene, and so you got involved in a fight with in a city street with a couple of supervillains known called Python and Froststorm, and a squad of shock troopers who were fighting some Dice agents to apparently break into a truck which was transporting a prisoner. So during the course of that fight, you managed to subdue Python and Froststorm and basically take out the shock troopers. And as you were wrapping things up, a metahuman burst out from the prison transport, as per the image that you can see on your screen, and flew off into the night in a state of some distress. And Captain Sonar, in particular, recognized this particular metahuman as the superhero called Protector, who was a well-known superhero from the 1960s, who had disappeared from sight decades ago. Bearing in mind where our timeline of this game is it's still 1984 at the moment. So Protector hadn't been seen for some time and had obviously been, for some reason, had been incarcerated and was. And it seemed as if these supervillains were trying to break him out from the prison transport. As it turns out, they failed to do so. But then, obviously, something had happened, and he was able to break himself free. As I say, when we wrapped up last time, I think Captain Sonar had been. You'd sort of inherited the hovercraft vehicle, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, we've got some transport now.
That's right. So you'd inherited the shock troopers kind of hover car type vehicle, and also I believe that Anurin had also given you the cold weapon of Froststorm. So
yeah,
where we pick a frost cannon, that's exactly right. So where we pick up this time. So now, Hyde, you've also been called in. Again, you weren't available last time. Bearing in mind these guys, superheroes, probably all have their own. You've all got your own comic book series to deal with, so you only pop up for the crossovers, So anyway, so you've now been called in. So you're all congregating. You're transported quickly, or rather, you can probably transport yourselves now. You're transported quickly to the Dice substation, which is again where you were before, which is in London, to be debriefed on the attack. And the Dice agents who appeared at the end of last session, as always, they always tend to turn up, too late to actually do anything. But they've brought in the shock troopers, as well as the supervillains Froststorm and Python under guard, and they've been brought back to the Dice headquarters. And Major Dawson, I seem to remember, was absent. So a Dice officer simply invites you to assist in trying to debrief these guys. Now, a little bit of basic information is available to you on Froststorm and Python. Obviously, this is pre-internet. However, Dice does have a very basic electronic database on metahumans. So Little bit of information on the two of them. So Froststorm, his alias is Johann Westerhouse, and he's basically he was originally an ice skater, and essentially decided that crime was probably an easier way to make money than ice skating professionally, and so he's turned to crime. Using the sort of he's got a cold themed weapon, and he's basically a mercenary. It doesn't appear that he's a very successful mercenary, as far as you can tell from the records. He's kind of he's a fairly lower tier metahuman. He's certainly not a massive threat, and it seems as if he was recruited. From what you can tell, he was recruited for his particular ability with. If you remember, he was trying to use his frost cannon to kind of freeze the truck and to allow Python to shatter it with her kind of martial arts. Yeah. And Python is a different kettle of fish altogether. Her real name is Miley No, and she's basically a very well-known superpowered mercenary, as we discussed last time. Super strong martial arts skills, and she is very well respected within the kind of villain for hire community from what you are aware. So DICE are particularly pleased to have her in custody at this point. And as we said, there was a half a dozen or so of these kind of soldiers for hire who were also brought in. So as you're kind of circulating around, these guys are all being questioned. So first question, I guess, is do any of you want to talk to these guys? They're more than happy to let you try and interrogate any of these people if you wish to do so. It's up to you. The DICE are already questioning them, but I'm more than happy if any of you want to try and have a go to.
I think we should pull their fingernails out.
I think they may frown upon that. To be honest, the shock troopers, they are, they're simply guns for hire. As you're going past some of these holding cells, I mean, they're quite happy to tell you that they're working for they've been hired. They work for a supervillain called Overlord, and that's all that they know, or that's all that they will tell you. It seems pretty clear that they are, although they are guns for hire, they are definitely more frightened of him than they are of you. So if they are intimidated, they won't give up anything more than his name. So they're happy to tell you that they work for Overlord, and other than that, they're not going to give anything up. Certainly not under intimidation. Obviously depending on how far the intimidation goes, but within the bounds of law, which is what DICE is working under, they just clam up. Now, Froststorm, he's a. Sorry, go on.
We have DICE agents here.
Yeah, because you're in the DICE substation. You remember you visited before, so it's kind of an underground bunker with.
So, turning to the most senior DICE agent.
Yeah.
So, you haven't got access to Solo's records, do you? Because if you could get a mind reading super that we could borrow for a couple of hours, that might be useful.
Well, I don't think any of you. Do any of you have any kind of?
No.
So, Eve, what about So I know. Hyde, you don't, as far as I know.
No, I don't.
Captain Sonar.
I used hypnosis first session, but when we redid it, we dropped hypnosis.
But what about your? Let's have a look at you.
I just asking questions how to get lucky.
Yeah, you could. I mean, yeah.
Yes, we could do that. My probability manipulation, unconscious.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. You certainly could do that. So you have probability manipulation unconscious, which means that basically you have you've basically got 40% chance
Yeah.
that things will go your way. So
So if we have them in a room big enough for the dragon, I will sit in the corner as the dragon, but then emanate the unconscious luck, using the dragon as to gain whatever extra percentages I can, but let someone else talk to them with just the giant dragon in the corner that's licking its lips. Just whoever's talking to them will totally ignore the fact the dragon's there, but use that as a kind of just tell me. So he's going to see the dragon, that she's going to see the dragon, and it be intimidating, whilst not we're not.
I've got
talking to
another. There is another thing you could possibly do.
Mhm.
Don't forget, you also have astral projection.
Yeah.
So what you could do is you could potentially put Froststorm and Python in a room together,
Yep.
and you could leave them apparently unattended, and you could astral project in there, which would obviously they wouldn't be able to detect you because you are invisible. And it may be that if you want to try it that way as well. But yeah, I'll allow you to do your thing, because like you say, you could just put them in a room and just sit in the corner as a dragon, kind of with the odd puff of fire coming out, and just see what happens. But
we can do two things. I can cast enhancement invisibility on a dice agent to sit in the room with Vostrom and the other woman, and then do still whilst that's happening, still do the dragon and the luck. So kind of do both, because I've got the enhancement invisibility. So rather than do the astral projection.
yeah, again, all of these are valid. Again, you've got them. They're all they're all locked up, so you can play mind games. To your whichever way you want to play it.
Yeah.
Now, in answer to your previous question, so Solo, which I seem to remember, was it the Superhuman Operatives Liaison Organization? Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of the union for superheroes.
Yeah. Okay, so that inquiry, so you pass that over to one of the dice agents, and they go make a few phone calls, because don't forget, this is back in the day when they had to pick up the phone and make a call, and they say that they can probably get somebody with hypnosis or mind reading abilities, but it's going to take a few hours, basically, because they're going to have to they're going to have to send out a message to somebody, and they're going to have to get to London. So they said, yeah, we'll put something in motion, but if you obviously feel free to proceed.
I think that's worth doing in case we get. Yeah, I think that's worth doing as a. If we get nowhere, we could still leave these guys locked in with dice agents.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the mind reader will turn up and might gain some extra information down the road that might be
Okay.
useful if everyone thinks that's a good idea.
Yep. So the as I say, the results whilst you're so which way do you want to go then? Because again, the you get the impression that the only way you'll get anything more out of the kind of foot soldiers is by some sort of hypnosis, because it just seems that they're simply too frightened of their employer to rat on him, and chances they probably don't know anything of any particular value. They were just there to provide muscle. So again, the dice guys will keep questioning them, but you get the impression that they're not going to give you much more. Again, unless you're able to hypnotize them or mind read them, and even then, you don't know whether you'll get anything particularly valid.
Okay, in that case, I will make Kerrin's character invisible, so he can sit in the room with the two other guys, because astral projection needs me to leave my body somewhere. So
I do have a flatulence problem, though. Is there anything you can do about that?
I have a cork.
Just blame it. Whoever smelt it, dealt it. That's what's going to happen in this room.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
The good news is that Froststorms probably has no sense of smell anyway, because of all the messing around with cold that he's been doing. So he's probably killed his sense of smell.
You get in there, and she's beaten him to death because all he was singing was "Ice, Ice, Baby." So, no, he deserved that. We'll just let him go.
Well, I mean, that's a good. Okay, I'll tell you, well, what you do is it's a totally valid plan. If Hyde's okay to go along with it.
Yeah, of course.
So what Kevin does is he casts invisibility on you.
Yep.
And so you could, and what they do is you follow into the cell with so a dice agent goes into the room with a tray of, so they basically put the two of them together. They are like handcuffed to there's like an interrogation table, and they're both handcuffed to it, because you're not stupid. They're handcuffed to the table, but then this dice agent goes in and takes them both in, like a cup of tea or a glass of water each or something, and just sort of says, somebody will be back to talk to you shortly. And then he sort of walks there. So you go into the room with him, and then as he closes the door, you're left in the room. And obviously, the rest of you are kind of able to observe through. There's a camera in the room. Although obviously, bearing in mind 1984, so it's pretty. Even though dice is has the sort of best technology that money can buy, it's still pretty basic.
Better to put them in a room without a camera
and have an audio recorder maybe, or a microphone. Okay,
if they see the camera, they're less likely to.
That's fair point. Why don't we? So we'll retrofit that then. So we'll say that. So we'll say that there's no obvious camera in the room. There's a hidden microphone. And the two of them are left in there, and they kind of they as you're watching, they initially they kind of, first of all, they're quite, they don't really talk to each other. He's quite fidgety, is Froststorm. Again, he's handcuffed to the table, as is Python, but he seems quite uncomfortable. And she's very calm and collected. She's just sitting there, kind of, all collected. And he's obviously, itching, and he's kind of fidgeting about. He's like, how long do you think? How long do you think they're going to keep us here? And she's like, and she just ignores him. He says, "Listen, I'm only getting paid for this deal, right? Do you think the boss is going to get us out of here, or is he just going to leave us here to rot?" And again, she just is, she sort of looks at him dismissively and sort of says, "Oh, you're pathetic." And he's like, "What? I'm just here to earn a living, If the longer I'm sitting in jail, I'm not getting paid, right? Can't we talk to these people, do a deal of some sort? Look, I'm sure, we could come to some arrangement, right?" And she goes, she at that point, she just clams up, and she says, clearly he's not worth her attention. And he says, "Well, fine, have it your way." And he's like, "Guard, guard, guard!" And he starts shouting. And after a minute or so, the dice agent, another dice agent, comes into the room and says, "What are you shouting about?" He says, "I want to talk to someone in charge. I want to make a deal. Get me someone to talk to. I'll talk, but I want to make a deal first. You get me?" And the dice agent says, "Fine." Goes back out. As he leaves the room, she kind of tries to hit him with a. She tries to tries to hit him with a karate chop. Fortunately, they've been handcuffed at opposite ends of this table. And she's like, she goes, "If you talk, he'll know, and if he knows, you're finished." And Froststorm's like, "Listen, darling, I'm going to take my chances, right? I'm not making money if I'm tied up in here." And 2 minutes later, a couple of dice guards come back, and they unhandcuff him and take him off to another room. So it's up to you, Hyde, if you want to stay in the room. But basically, she just sits there, kind of clearly seething, but doesn't offer up any more information. At least, obviously, she doesn't know you're in the room.
Yeah, I mean,
it's up to you. But you get the impression she's made her position fairly clear that she's not going to talk.
Yeah, she wasn't talking before, so she's not going to talk now, is she?
No. So it's up to you, but I'll assume that you can leave. And it might be that obviously if they do bring in somebody with hypnosis, I'll tell you what, we'll just make up somebody. So they've sent for a superhero, or he's actually not a superhero. He's like he's actually an investigator his code name is Mind War. But he's basically a psychic. So the plan is that at some point they'll get him to kind of try and probe her mind to get any more information, but that's going to take a few hours. So right, so you can just leave the room, and obviously once you leave the room, you can sort of go back over to Anorin and say, he can just dispel the spell so that you become visible again.
Yep.
And as you're doing that, so Froststorm is taken into another interrogation room.
Hold on, it is the 80s, isn't it?
It is the 80s, yes.
And if I'm invisible, I should probably find a woman's locker room, shouldn't I?
That's a good point.
Hold on. Kerrin, do you want to borrow my my frost cannon so you can dial down the temperature in the women's locker room?
No. Anyway,
and also your special effect will be that you're kind of, it's like a chroma key kind of effect where you're kind of we can still see you. It just everyone else, you're invisible, but we can clearly see you, see your outline.
Just the outline,
yeah. And maybe it's activated by a digital watch. That might be the other way to go. I don't know. But anyway. So anyway, Anorin kind of dispels the spell, and you guys can you look in on Froststorm's interrogation, and he's speaking to Lieutenant Smith, who's she's a blonde dice agent who seems to be acting in Major Dawson's absence, and she's like, well, I can offer you a deal. Obviously, any information you give us, if it is useful, then it will be taken into account when you're sent to court. And he's like, no, you don't understand, love. He said, you've got to promise me more than that. You've got to promise me protection, right? Because this guy we're working for, he's bad news, okay? If he knows that I've spoken to you, then, it could all be over for me. So I'm not, I need your assurance that you'll keep me safe. And she actually says, okay, just give me a minute. And she goes out of the room and she, consults with a couple of other guys, and calls into DICE headquarters, and they eventually comes back and says, okay, look, we've agreed that for pending your trial, we'll make sure that you're put in secure accommodation, and alpha level security protocols will be in place so that no one will know where you are, okay? But anything else is dependent on you talking to me and telling us what we need to know. And he says, okay, listen, he says, I'm trusting you, but I'll tell you what I know. So we've been hired by Overlord. And again, you've heard that name mentioned before by the shock troopers. So Overlord is basically, he's basically another megalomaniac supervillain who has had a number of schemes to his end goal is, as you'd expect, world domination, or at least national domination, if not world domination. He wears a high-tech suit of armor, although he has DICE and DICE have encountered him in the past before. He generally is somebody who works in the shadows. Although he does have abilities, he does have technology to allow him to act. He also tends to use lackeys in his place because he's too smart to put himself into harm's way. And DICE have heard rumors that he's trying to put together some sort of crime empire. But this is all kind of, you hear this. They probably hear this like once a week about, who's the current supervillain, because that's what they do, right? They're trying to get influence. They're trying to take control. But Froststorm says, he says, but this, he says, listen, he says, okay, I get all that, but Overlord, he's got a plan. He's located some kind of underwater base. I've been there, but I don't know where it is because we were kept in the dark. But what's strange is he's got this little guy, and Lieutenant Smith. What do you mean, little guy? No, I mean a literal little guy, right? He's literally only a few inches tall, and he keeps him in a jar. And basically, he's got this hostage who he keeps he's threatening to kill, and apparently this little guy knows how to get into this base. And so when I was last there, that seemed to be the plan, that this little guy apparently is going to be able to give him access to the base. And from the way Overlord's been talking, you guys don't want him getting into that base, because whatever's in that base, he seems to think is going to give him the upper hand.
Are we in the room?
No, you're just outside, because obviously there's a microphone. Again, there's a microphone, but this room's actually got a camera as well, because he's bartering for, for his protection. So he's not bothered about the camera. So you're not actually in the room. If you want to go in the room, you can, but he's basically dealing with this Lieutenant Smith.
I might step in the room. I have a question.
Okay, you can do that. And he sort of looks up at you and says, "Who's this clown?" Because as you walk in your sort of, druidic gear.
While all this is happening, I am in the dice canteen, making all the women margaritas with my frost cannon.
I love that.
I'm going to call it slushy.
I love it. And I'm willing to bet.
And when I get there and ask for one, he goes, "Oh, I've just run out. Sorry, mate."
I reckon and that's going to be a typical 80s work canteen, right? With a couple of heavy-set women kind of slapping up, sausage and mash on a plate with a fag hanging out the corner of their mouth, going, "I'll give you some more chips, dearie." even though this is a high-tech, crime-fighting organisation, you know that the canteen still looks like any other 80s workplace canteen
with dinner ladies.
Yeah, walking to the canteen, there's a woman with a trolley with custard creams on a plate and a little
absolutely
for the head.
And the custard creams are slightly soggy.
Oh yes,
because they've been out for too long, haven't they? So anyway, so Anorin, you've gone into the room. So he sort of looks up at you. He goes, like, "Is this the guy who can make things happen? Why does he look like Wurzel Gummidge?"
I am here. I've got one question for the dice agent rather than
okay.
You. Need to ask him why he was going after the yellow dude. And
he sort of looks at Lieutenant Smith, and he says, "Answer him. If you want anything out of me, okay, you better cooperate." He says, "Okay." He says, "Well, so apparently the yellow guy has something to do with this base as well. So he was Overlord's sort of insurance policy that if the little guy couldn't get in, then this other guy would know how to get him in, and that's why Overlord sent us to get him." He says, "But listen, the real scoop here, okay, is that we're supposed to take the yellow guy once we've captured him. We're supposed to take him to the underwater base, and we've actually got a sub waiting halfway down the river. And the plan is we were to capture the guy, we were to return to the sub, and then the sub is programmed to take us to the base. Okay, so if you want to find Overlord, go get the sub. It will take you to the base. Now that's all I know. Give me my deal." And she says, "Well, we'll see about that." And she says, "Right, take him away."
So I say to the dice agent, given what he said, it might be an idea to go back to speak to Shadowboxer or whatever her name is, and tell her that you are going to call a press conference and tell on the 6 o'clock news that you captured her and she is singing like a canary, and that she's already told you about the submarine and the little guy and whatnot. And if she doesn't want that spread over the news, she needs to fill in some gaps.
Lieutenant Smith sort of looks at you and says, "Well, says I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you. That's a good idea. I'm down with it. These scumbags deserve what's coming to them.
Also,
Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. We'll go speak to her. And by the way, Shadow Boxer, great name. I've written that down because I'm going to use that. But it's actually Python. But yeah, Shadow Boxer is a great name. So I'll come up with a character for that.
I think Shadow Dancer is in Peking Duck. Anyway,
That's
so,
right. Yeah. Anyway.
So you said you had a solo, you're a liaison with Solo.
Yeah.
Can you point me in their direction?
Well, I've got a phone number.
Okay. Could I?
I just called the Solo office, and they assure me they're sending a guy down here, but I don't know when he's going to arrive. But yeah, sure, I'll give you the number. Go speak to the admin officer on this level, and he'll give you the number. No problem.
Right.
Meanwhile, do you want to come and speak to this Python with me, or shall I just go speak to her?
You go and speak to her. I'm going to have a chat with a member of our team, and then I will pop back and be intimidating if you need me.
Cool. Okay. Right. So the other two are off in the canteen making margaritas, which I think is fantastic. Like I say, I love the fact you've turned that frost cannon. There's so many uses for it, really, isn't there? Okay. So you head off again. You go to the admin.
No, I want to go to canteen first.
Oh, go to the canteen. Okay. So you head to the canteen.
Yeah. So sonar.
Captain Sonar.
Yeah.
Captain to you.
Sorry, my apologies. I obviously told the Eagle guys to bugger off, so I'm not really sure who is or who wasn't in the Eagles. But you seem to think you knew that Protector was one of the Eagles.
Right, that's right. So the Eagles were a super team. So just to remind you from last time, the Eagles were a super team. They were kind of Britain's first. So in my head, there was probably a super team in World War II, or there were super metahumans working for the army and for the government in World War II.
Oh no, hang on.
But the Eagles were the kind of they were the kind of first. Well, they were the kind of most well known. They were they weren't official as such, but they were kind of the most recognised super team. So the roster again, because Captain Sonar was a bit of a would have been a kid at the time. We'd established Kerrin that obviously Anurin. So Kevin's character is like immortal, but spends a lot of his time kind of hanging out in forests and stuff. So apparently was approached by the Eagles at one point to join, but basically told them to bugger off.
Because they'd flooded the Welsh reservoir, and the two.
Well, I don't think they did. I think it was the government. But yeah, okay.
The English team turns out just after that happens, trying to get lost.
Yeah. So but we kind of established that Captain Sonar was kind of, being a kind of it was probably so what we 84 now. So assuming Captain Sonar's in his mid-20s. Is that fair to say? Maybe a little bit older, maybe 30 odd. I can't remember. I don't think we specified an age, but
I mean, he's a captain, so he can't be too young.
Probably 30 odd, I would say. Does that seem fair? So he would have been probably 10 or so when the Eagles were. So he probably had the it wouldn't have been action figures in the 60s, but it would have been, Panini stickers.
A fanboy.
Yeah, but it would have been like Panini stickers and that kind of thing, I suppose, or cigarette cards.
Palatoy would have done an Action Man set.
Not in the 60s, though, would they? Wasn't Action Man a bit later?
That was just in America.
These Action Men.
It would have been Little Big Man and shit. Anyway.
Yeah, but they probably would have been like six cigarette cards. That would have been the thing, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Anyway.
He definitely would have made him up there, wouldn't he? He would have been running around with his pants over his trousers.
Right, exactly. So basically
who has
So the roster that you remember, the sort of classic team of the Eagles was there was a character, there was a fella called John Bull who was he was a British super soldier. So He was allegedly active in both world wars. It's not clear whether he's the same. He was the same guy, or whether it was like a legacy. So, in other words, if there was a John Bull in the First World War, and then somebody else took up the mantle. But anyway, John Bull was like the kind of British Captain America, I guess. And Protector was the, as far as you remember, was the leader of the Eagles, and he was like a biologist who experimented on himself and kind of enhanced his own abilities. And there were some other names. You remember Howitzer, who was another World War II sort of super strong woman superhero. And there was a couple of others. There was a character called Plasma, who was like an energy being. But anyway, there was like a roster, and this roster would change. But you remember some of these being. So you know that Protector was one of the Eagles, and he was at some point the leader. Now, I don't think it's public knowledge as to what, why he was locked up. Obviously,
that's what we need to find out. That's what we should be asking Mrs. Smith. Come on, Mrs. Smith. Why did you have Protector in a van locked up? Why did he need to break out?
Okay, so before we ask her, so the question I wanted to ask Captain Sonar was, in his memory of the Eagles, did he remember a shrinking or a small superhero?
No.
So, yeah, I mean, you think, but was he called Micronaut or Microscope or something like that? Just I think there was one. He says, but I was only like 10. I don't. It's just I always like the flashy one. Like Protector was the flashy guy because he was like flying and all that. And so yeah, there might have been one. I don't really remember.
Right. So I'm then going to go with that information. Go to this the liaison officer and essentially ask them the question. Is it possible to find out from the records if there was a diminutive shrinking superhero that was hanging around with the Eagles?
Okay, so you're gonna speak to Solo first of all. Okay, so we'll come back to the thing about Protector in a minute. So you basically go and find this admin, or this administrator. What's the right word really? Basically there's somebody on each level of this base. So they're kind of. I mean, I don't want to say secretary. It's a bit sexist, but it is the 80s. But there is a female. Yeah, there's a female dice agent who's manning a desk basically. And he sort of say, look, listen, Agent Smith said that you could put me through to the Solo office, and she says, yeah, sure, sweetie. And she sort of picks the phone up and dials a number. She dials a number for you and hands it over. And you get put through after a bit of a few minutes. You get put through to somebody at Solo, and obviously they know where the calls come from because it's like a direct line. And they sort of like, yeah. How can I help you?
We are having some issues with a number of supervillains that are attempting to grab superheroes from the past. So Protector appears to be from some group called the Eagles. I'm just wondering in your records if you have any shrinking or diminutive superheroes that were linked to that group, as we've had information that one may have been kidnapped, but we have no idea. Some possibly names starting with Micronaut, Microscope.
Eagles, you say? Interesting.
Eagles.
Okay. She says, well, give me just hold the line. And she goes off, and you can hear her flicking through. Sort of, it sounds like she's flicking through probably like an index card record or something, or maybe a microfiche something from the 80s. She comes back to you and she says, well, so there was a member of the Eagles. Yeah, his name was Micron. Could that be it?
That sounds like it could fit in with that.
Mike Ron.
Mike Ron. Yeah, exactly. 2 first names. That's odd. Is he from Arkansas or somewhere? I don't know. That's. And she says,
Big Ron,
Little Ron, not Mike Ron, but Little Ron. And she says, well, he was. She goes, well, okay, it's interesting. He wasn't a member of the Eagles. He was like an honorary member because apparently, according to this note here, he had a criminal record. He was a kind of I guess you'd describe him as a bit of a Robin Hood figure, right? He had the power to shrink, and he was basically a bit of a petty thief. But he did help the Eagles out on some cases, and I think they made him an honorary member, even though he couldn't be an official member because of his criminal record.
Do you have his name? Identity.
She goes, oh well, hold on a minute. I'm going to have to dig into a different record for that. Just give me a minute. And she goes off again. And again,
ask her if she wants a margarita.
Did she want a margarita while you're there?
Yeah.
How quickly can you get here? The margaritas are on tap.
So I put my hand over the telephone and turn to the secretary and go, "All right, love, what time did you get off?"
She goes, well.
I hope she's into older men.
Yeah, exactly. Into older men. That's very good, yeah. Yeah. Don't tell her your age, for God's sake. So she comes back. Anyway, the lady on the end of the phone comes back. She goes, okay, so he says here that his real name was Jack Peters. Okay. But he seems to... we don't have anything on him recently.
Any next
No, nothing. Very little information on him. But again, he was, so our records on some of these guys are pretty sparse. I mean, this is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
If only we had some kind of, electronic system that would allow us to keep all of this information available. But
don't be ridiculous, woman.
Someone
never take on.
Someone probably spilled water on the index card and they threw it away. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's what happened with my card.
Yeah.
I know. I believe it was Dragonfire. Anyway, you've been very helpful. Thank you very much.
Right. So.
And then obviously put the phone down and come back.
Okay, so you get that information. So so you think it's the guy he's talking to, the little guy, as he puts it, is probably this character called Micron.
I sent Captain Sonar to see if we think his name's Micron, and see if that automatically jars a memory with him.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to you, Captain Sonar. I mean, either way is fine with me.
So does Micron?
What am I doing? Sorry.
So, no, he's just saying to you. Does the name Micron? Does that remind you? Does that a name you recognise?
Yeah, that's probably the guy. But as I said, I wasn't really into shrinking dudes.
Yeah, he was a bit naff. I didn't like him.
You like big dudes, don't you?
The big.
Yeah. I mean, 3 inches just isn't enough.
Steady on. This is the 80s, Right. Anyway, so you.
I my stout.
I want to go and speak to Mrs. Smith and ask her why Protector was locked up.
Excellent. I'm glad. Right, good. So you track her down. So she's on her way to talk to Python, and you sort of collar her and say, "Listen, what's the deal with Protector?" So she says, "Look, it's quite easy. He was, the story. The official story. He was leader of the Eagles, and then something happened, and he went on a rampage. He appeared in London, went on a rampage, and he was it took a massive effort from the armed forces to actually subdue him. I think in the end they had to use like gas equipped helicopters or something to subdue him, and he's been in I'm sure he's been in a government mental institution since. I don't know. He was being moved simply for, he's being moved to another facility, quite routine. He's normally kept drugged, and it's tragic, but you know how powerful he was. If he were, as we've seen, the last thing we wanted was for him to get free. Not only to protect himself, but to protect the population as well. So God help us if he. If his psychic, if his mental state is degraded anymore. But yeah, he was being incarcerated for his own good as well as for everybody else's. Anyway, listen, if you'd excuse me, I need to go and talk to this. I need to go and talk to this other scumbag. And she sort of walks off. As that happens, there's a klaxon goes off throughout the base, it's like and she sort of comes running back. Goes, what the hell is it this time? And she runs over to a and she's like, oh yeah, I picked a great Major Dawson picked a great day to be traveling, didn't he? And she runs over to one of it's like a wall mounted telephone, and she sort of picks up and dials it and says, yeah, this is Smith, what's going on? And she says, oh crap, where, when? She goes, okay, get a team ready. We're leaving in 5 minutes. And she turns around to you. So if you're still there, Captain Sonar, she says, talk about, mention the devil and he will appear. I've just had a report that apparently Protector has he started going on he's on a rampage in central London. I need you and your fellows to go and try and subdue him. I've called up a supply of the neutralizing gas that we can try and subdue him again, but I need you guys to go and try and stop him. Get your people together, and I'll give you the location. Get there as soon as you can, and we'll be right behind you.
To print out a map and do a little X on a map.
Yeah, basically.
A4 sheet of paper with a little X on it.
Don't worry. I've in a past life I took the knowledge, mate. We can get around in this hover car.
The hover. I seem to remember the hover thing's actually quite quick. If I remember, let me look at the stats of it again. I think it's actually pretty nippy.
Of your the energy in your frost cannon, or is that?
No, I think it recharged, right? Because you're because again
I plug it to the cigarette lighter in the hover car.
Yes.
Cigarette lighter. Of course there is. It
fits in the 8-track.
Yeah, I'll recharge it on the way. Don't worry, it's all good.
Yeah, the hover car thing's actually pretty it's pretty nippy actually. So yeah, she gives you, so basically she sends you to a she says, right, Protector's gone on, he's tearing the place up. And basically you gather the team and you head off. I guess you'll jump into the hover car.
Yep.
And off you go. I'm going to just bring up a quick, let me just get a map sorted out. Just give me 1 second. Because it wouldn't be a superhero game without a bit of a punch up, right? So let me just find out. H11. Okay. So I'm just going to go into my map. So on the VTT,
I am going to play my unconscious probability manipulation, unconscious luck percentage.
Yep.
And I am going to attempt to say that Captain Sonar has a near mint copy of a Protector cigarette card in his back pocket that he needs signed.
Okay. give me a D100 roll, please.
Which is, we're going to go with 2d10.
So do two D10s, yeah.
2.
Oh.
That's 0, 7, isn't it?
Yeah. So okay, yes, you do. So by luck, miraculously, Captain Sonar happens to have a Protector trading or cigarette card. I'm just going to find Kerrin's token. Just give me 1 second while I dig into the good old VTT. Oh, that's interesting. Where's that gone? Right, bear with me. Great for radio. This while I just I'm just going to very quickly find a picture of Hyde. Just give me 1 sec. Good thing about this VTT is you can sort of improvise pretty well. So 1 second.
Sonar, if we can get close enough to Protector, it's possible you might be able to talk him down if you use that card that you've got in your back pocket, acting as a fanboy. That might bring him, if he's having a mental relapse, you might find that you could potentially talk him down rather than beat him up. I mean, we can beat him up, but if he's.
I mean, I'm going to beat him up if he doesn't sign my card. That's for sure.
It's worth a punt.
That's a totally reasonable response, I think.
On our
right.
I'm going to cast.
I've also got to find the old hover car, haven't I? Because
But whilst you're
You've got to find it now.
I'm going.
that's
to
irritating. I think I've
enhancement speed on both Captain Sonar and Hyde.
Okay, so what are you doing again? Sorry, just say that again.
Casting speed on
Right.
both.
Okay. Bear with.
And myself, actually. No, I'm not going to cast on myself. I'm going to go dragon this time.
Just a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the hover car. Okay. So right, I'll come back to that in a second, Kev. So first of all, if you want to set yourselves up, so as you arrive on the scene, Protector. So he's the golden dude. Again, there's the image. I've just used that image as a token, but you get the gist. And he is kind of basically the street is covered in debris. He's literally seems to be stomping into buildings and like smashing. He's like literally smashing bits off the buildings. And he's clearly in a confused rage. Doesn't know what he's doing. He's just literally stomping about, smashing stuff up. Luckily, it appears as if the public have got the hint, and there's no obvious signs of civilians about. Everyone's cleared out. You suspect the police have probably done what they've done before and cordoned off streets. But obviously now, let me tell you what you know about him, because again, you would be able to find out this information from his records. He is. He's tough. He's strong. And he has the ability to fly. So he's essentially what we call in super games as a I'm going to say the word brick. It's not. It's definitely begins with a B. But he's basically strong and tough and flies, and is currently, as I say, he's kind of stomping around, smashing stuff up. Again, doesn't seem to be in a reasonable frame of mind at this point. Again, the DICE agents are on their way, because again, there's this new gas they've used before to knock him out. But again, you don't know, it's going to take a while for them to get there. So yeah, you can deploy yourselves as you want. Now, Kevin, you said you were casting. Did you say speed?
Speed on both of them.
Okay. But hang on a minute. So how are you doing that? Because you don't have that spell.
Enhanced.
Oh, can you cast that on others, or is that only on yourself?
On others.
Let's have a look. Not that I doubt you, but let me just check.
Cast on more than once on an individual.
Yeah, no, fair play. Spell is cast. Yeah, bestows upon the individual. Okay, so speed. So so super speed grade 1. So right, okay, so that's going to cost you. By the look, that's going to cost you 15 magic points, though, right? Because it costs 5 magic points to cast, and must be maintained at a cost of 5 magic points for each round.
Yep.
So you can do it, but I would maybe not cast. I would cast it round 1 purely because otherwise that's going to drain your magic points pretty damn quick. So
yeah. So as soon as we get there and we
okay, so we'll okay, fine, fine. So
just for context, Kerrin, our hover car also has a giant cannon on the top of it.
Yeah, it does have an energy cannon on it as well.
No.
So that might be good. That might be good to know. Okay, fine. So you've arrived on the scene. So what we'll do is we'll just go straight into round 1. What we will do is I will have a little look at my little chart. So first of all, can I get one of you guys to roll a d10 for me? And then I will do the same. Doesn't matter who, any one of you just jump in and just roll a d10 for me. Cool. Oh, a 10. Well done. So you get a 10, I get a 5. So 5 frames. So you guys get 3 frames in which to act. So just a quick reminder for those, just for everyone. So in Golden Heroes, you act in a round is broken down into frames. So in a frame, you can usually basically superheroes or superpowered characters have 4 frames per round in which to act. Each frame you can usually move your full distance. Now, because Kevin has cast super speed on you, on your character sheet, your speed, basically your movement speed is doubled for as long as that spell is in effect. So
my movement speed was pretty good as it was anyway.
Correct. Well, you've already got super speed,
Yep.
Kerrin. So if you obviously have speed grade 1 already, so you've effectively got speed grade 2, or maybe Kevin doesn't cast speed on you because you don't need it. So that might be the way to go.
No. So
save the magic
Kerrin,
points.
Would you like flight or extra strength?
Extra strength, maybe.
Yeah, that would be good.
It's 1d6.
Yeah, extra strength, I think, so I can hit him harder.
So, Kevin, if you just roll 1d10, and then add 10 to it for me.
10. 11.
Okay, so your strength is going to go up to 21 for as long as he keeps that spell on you. Okay, so certainly for this round. So as I say, you've got 4 frames, and so 21. So that will give you some benefit in terms of you get extra damage modifiers and so on. So yeah, that's good. Okay, so you've got so again, in a frame, you can normally move your full distance, and again, if you've got super speed, that's doubled. You can also make a one-handed weapon attack in a frame, so you can hit somebody, you can punch somebody basically. On your character sheet, it tells you what some of your if you look at your attacks, you'll see that. So, for example, Kerrin's character fist foot attack is a frame. Charge into combat is a frame. Sunday punch is a frame. So that means that you could potentially do that fist foot attack. You could do 4 times in a if you get next to the guy, you could punch him 4 times or whatever. Now superpowers normally take 2 frames together. They have to be one after the other, and that's called an action. So 2 frames is an action, and that essentially is how much most superpowers take. So if you hit somebody with an energy blast, for example, then that takes 2 frames or 1 action. So bearing in mind that you've got 3 frames in which you get to act because you won initiative, you have 3 frames to act before he will then take his full 4 frames, and then you will have a frame at the end which you can take. So that's basically how that works. Okay. Now I've organised you into dexterity order. So the way that you act on the turn is that so Captain Sonar has the highest dexterity. So Captain Sonar, you've got 3 frames. So again, bearing in mind you can use that to move. So it's up to you. So yeah, over to you. So you've got 3 frames. Let me know what you'd like to do.
All right, I'm gonna run up my doubled movement.
Yeah.
To him.
So each square is 2 meters. So you've got basically 10 meters of movement. So you can basically move 5 squares in a frame. And don't forget, you've got 3 frames. So you could, in theory, move 30 meters.
I think this is close enough. This guy's sketchy. Okay. And then I'm going to shout. I'm going to whip out I'm going to shout at him. Hey, Protector, will you sign my trading card?
Excellent. His head whips round. He hears his name, and his head sort of, he sort of turns around to look at you. But he doesn't look very happy at all. So, yeah.
All right. And so with his super creepy thing, then I just say, all right, mate, chill out. And then I shoot him with my frost cannon.
Chill out. Right. So frost cannon. Okay, fine. So let's have a little look here. So frost cannon is so frost cannon is going to take you so basically you've used 1 frame to move, and then you've used your other 2 frames you're using as an action to shoot in with the frost cannon, which is cool.
Yeah.
So basically that is a weapon class 3 attack. So I'm just checking that now. So weapon class 3, and his defense class is 3. So 3 versus 3. Right. So if you can roll a d20 for me, please.
20.
And you need a 10 or better to hit him.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, so
too many margaritas made.
Too many margaritas. There you go. Fine. So you shoot him. You basically, and let's put it down to the fact that you're unfamiliar with this weapon in any context other than making margaritas with it. So your shot goes wild. But basically, it's like in Ghostbusters. There's like a trail of, except there's a trail of ice crystals kind of skittering across the floor.
Love it.
And he sort of turns towards you, but he can't act yet. But yeah, you've obviously got his attention. Right. So next to go is I think it's Anorin. So Anorin, what would you like to do?
I'm going to sit on the flying car and fire the
cannon.
Yeah.
Excellent. So okay, so that is, let's see, what is the range we've got here? So the range. I mean, are you happy with the flying car where it is? I put it there, but if you want to move it up or down, I'm happy for you to move it up a bit if you want, because again, I appreciate that I put it. Okay.
I'm sitting on top of it. With the
You're sitting on top of the flying car. That's all right. You can just you can put it on top of it. It's all right. Hang on a minute. If I bear with. I think if I wait a minute. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Right. So so the energy cannon, I've got it here because I have the stats in the book.
3d6.
It's weapon class 20, right? We're just going to vaporize this dude.
You wish. That would be a very short. Yeah, it'd be a very short fight if that was the case. Okay, let's have a look. Weapon class. Okay, so it has a photonic cannon, which is weapon class 3, 20-meter range. So yeah, you're well within range. Okay, so weapon class.
3 meters?
Beg your pardon?
Did you say it's got a 3 meter range?
No, 30-meter range, I think. So no, you're well within range. 20-meter range, but it's still well within range. Okay, so weapon class 3, and he's defense class 3. So again, that's a 10 or better from you. Please, Kevin. Oh, nice. Okay, so you hit him clearly. He is not going to attempt to evade this because he doesn't see this. I mean, he's not in his right mind. His attention is focused on Captain Sonar. So he doesn't try and evade this in any way. Now, I will point out that if you'd actually missed, there was a good chance you might have actually hit Captain Sonar instead, but you didn't miss, so that's fine. Okay, so the cannon does 3d6 hits the coma and 1d6 hits the kill.
So that's
10, 11.
Hits the coma.
Yeah.
And 4 hits the kill.
Right, bear with me. I've got a little sheet here which has got his. So now the only downside is he's actually got damage dividers because of his tough skin. So he's only going to take 2 hits to kill, and he's going to take like 1 hit to coma. So you hit him with this energy beam, and it kind of crackles off him. It doesn't really seem to phase him at all. He's got damage dividers of 5, so it's pretty gnarly. Having said that, energy weapons, let me just double check. Do energy weapons actually avoid dividers? I think they do. Bear with me.
They could do.
I think you might actually do better than we thought there. Just hold on one sec. Energy attack. Oh, no, they reduced the damage dividers by -2. So actually, you said you did 11 hits to coma. So actually, that would have been divided by 3. So what's that? It's only, that would have been what? So 3 points basically, and
1 point.
He'll take 2 points for hits to coma. So it's not much, but it's better than nothing. Okay, fine. So right, so you've hit him. You've used two. I'm going to say then that you've used a frame to climb onto the vehicle, and then you've used 2 frames with which to fire the weapon. So over to you, Hyde. You've got 3 frames in which you can act. So don't forget you can move your full distance every frame, and then you can also attack or do whatever else you want to do.
Yeah. So I've got extra strength now, haven't I?
Yeah. So you've currently got strength of 21, which means when you hit him, you're going to do more damage basically.
You are pumped.
I mean, if you can also do what's called a charge into combat.
I was going to, because that gives me my extra. Yeah. So if I do my charge into combat, I get the additional sort of hit, don't I?
Yeah, basically, it gives you the weapon class is better because you've got martial arts. Now you've got martial arts, which means your weapon class is better, so you're better trained at hitting things. You can either do the charge into combat just means that you run into him, and it gives you extra damage. And then also you've got your cricket bat, of course.
That's right.
So yeah, cool. Okay, so why don't you?
Sorry, Steve. Just looking through the sheet because
that's okay. I'm just checking that actually because I'm not sure. Let me just check that. Charge into combat. That's a speed. That's a super speed effect, isn't it? Charge into combat.
I think it is.
Combat. Okay, you get. I don't know why it's not on that sheet. I need to modify that. You get a damage modifier of +4 for that attack as well.
1 frame.
So yeah.
Have we got the gas, or are we waiting for the gas to turn up?
No, you're waiting for the gas.
They're warming up.
It's a plot device, Kevin, to make sure you get a chance to get beaten up a bit before the gas arrives. So.
I think maybe I was thinking of the Sunday Punch because that's got the +4 damage to it.
To be honest, the charge into combat gives you +4 as well.
Does it? Okay.
I haven't written on the sheet for some reason, but that does the same. Basically,
more damage as well, isn't it?
If you look at it, it's you do more damage with the. Actually, no, you do more damage. You do more damage with the Sunday Punch. To be honest.
Yeah, I think the Sunday Punch was the one I was thinking of from before.
Cool.
I might do the Sunday Punch then.
To be honest, though, don't forget you can actually do so with your what you could do. Just if you hear me out, you could run up to him, do the charge into combat, which takes a frame. You have 1 frame to recover. And then you could hit him again with your Sunday Punch. So you could run into him, punch him first as you charge into him. Then you could hit him again with the Sunday Punch. And then you would use your last frame of the round to recover. Now, obviously, you're going to be open to him hitting you in the meantime, but that means you get to deliver two kind of hand-to-hand attacks straight out off the bat if you're part of the
sounds good to me.
Cool. Okay. So you run up to him. So if you want to move yourself and put yourself in contact with him, so you run up to him.
Yep. Hold on.
You know, calling out your famous epitaph of something like it's clobbering time or something like that.
I'm sure I had something. I can't remember what it was. It's been so long.
Take bat.
Batter up. Oh, no. Was it?
Batter up. That's good. You're out. Slap.
There's a cricket one in there.
It's got to be a cricket one. Yeah, you're out.
It's got to be a cricket one.
Okay, fine. So how's that? There you go. How's that? That's it. Right, so weapon class. Right, so basically, you're also going to have to roll a 10 or better. So for the first one, the charge into combat, run up to him, roll me a d20.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you'll get okay. Okay, so that doesn't connect, but okay.
Yeah.
So then but the good news is that actually gives you an extra frame because you've gone in and because you haven't hit him, you're not going to be penalised for the extra frame to recover. So why don't you therefore you could then do what you could do then is you could hit him with your you could basically do 2 Sunday punches.
Well, I can try.
So again, weapon class 3, so 10. So again, 10. So do the first one, 10 or better.
First one.
Perfect. Yep. So let's deal with that one first. Actually, do the second one. Do another one.
No.
Right. So 1 hit. Okay, fine. So you run into him. You run up to him. You hit him. So you're going to do 1d. So give me 1d6 hits to kill.
6.
Which is 6. So he's got damage dividers of 5. So that's going to be 1. Oh God, he's a right tank, isn't he? Okay, so that's 1, and then do I think it's 2d6 plus 6 hits to coma. So hit him with give me 2d6, and then we had 7 plus 6 is 13 plus 4 is 17. So that gives him 5. No, hang on a minute. It doesn't. It gives. I'm just going to give another 3 hits to kill. 3 hits to coma, and I forgot to add the 4 to the hits to the hits to kill score. So that gives you that's actually a 5. So that's so far you've done 5 hits to kill, and you've done 3, 4, 5, 6 hits to coma. So yeah, he's quite tough, but you've got a good hit in on him. Now, unfortunately, it's now his turn to act. Oh, hang on a minute. I stand corrected. I forgot about the super strength bonus. So, super strength bonus, because you've got super strength applied, then what that does is that gives you basically an extra point of damage per point over 15. So because you've got 21, that's an additional 6 points of damage to each of those attacks. Now I'm going to basically give you an extra, so I'm going to add another 1 onto that, because basically it's damage dividers take it, but again, you've knocked off another point off his total. So I mean, it's going to be a bit of a battle of attrition, this one. But so far he's taken 6 hits to kill, and he's taken 5, 6, 7 hits to coma. So I mean, you've certainly, you've clobbered him, but he's obviously pretty tough. Right. So bad news is now it's his turn to act. So what he's going to do, he's first of all going to take a punch at, because Hyde is right in his face. He's going to take a punch at you. Now he's got weapon class 2 because he's just got hand to hand. So what that means for you is your defense class, I think, is 6. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. Defense class is 6. So he needs to roll a 10 or better to hit you, basically. So he's going to hit you first.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't do.
Hey.
So he swings at you and you manage to avoid it. He's going to try one more time, but then he's going to move. So he's going to try one more time because you're right there. Okay, so that's a hit. So he does. Let me have a little look. Oh, he will do, I believe, 2d6 hits to coma. So 1, 2. Oh, bloody hell. 12 hits to coma. Now, unfortunately, he adds 20 to that because he's got super strength. So that's 32. Now you have got, I think, you haven't got damage dividers, have you?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
He's not get damage dividers now because he's got so buffed up strength.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Let me just check on super strength and see what that does to your divider.
32.
Yeah. Because his strength is 40.
You got one more round in you, son. If that's his to cover, you're not looking good.
I could make
this is not a good cameo in this crossover, is it?
No.
All my readers that have come over, they're like, "What?
What's going on here? He's getting clobbered." Right. So with the strength, So his strength is so he can basically he can lift a bulldozer essentially.
Right.
He's basically strong enough to he can throw he could throw a helicopter or a truck if he strains, and he can easily pick up a car or a van. Anyway,
I'm sure Hyde could throw a mini in his juiced out rage that he's got going on now.
If only there was a mini for him to throw.
Yeah, look around for a mini.
Well, there's never a mini there when you need one, is there? Okay, so what did we say your strength was 21, right? Okay, so no, unfortunately, it only gives you damage dividers of +1, which doesn't really help you because you've got damage dividers of 0. So a damage divider of 1 means it's divided by 1, so it doesn't really have any impact. Okay, so he basically clobbers you, and you certainly feel that. Now I'm looking at your character sheet. So we said he did. I said he did. Basically, he's got. So the reason he gets the extra strength is because his super strength is 40, and because he gets modifiers of basically modifiers on his strength is modified, as we said. So it's 25 points. It's actually 25 points plus. So he's pretty much clobbered you, I think. Hold on a minute.
You're unconscious.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not even staggered, actually.
Right.
However, hold on. No, wait a minute. It's the coma. It's 41. Now you're pretty much. Yeah, I think you are definitely staggered. So what that means is you are basically. He's clocked you one, and it kind of rings your bell, good and proper. And what that means to you is that for now, you are going to be. What does that do? What does staggered do, Kevin? Why does it? It says what it means, but it doesn't actually tell you what it does. I think it gives you some sort of
minus.
I think it reduces.
He's knocked back. His pushback threshold is 20.
Yeah, so you're going to get knocked back. Yeah.
So it's however many points over his pushback threshold is how many squares he gets knocked back. So his threshold is 25 with his increased strength, but we've knocked his strength for 20. So his pushback's probably going to be at 30 to 40. So he might actually not be pushed back.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm just checking the. Yeah, so I basically, you're I mean, you are pushed back 25. So and we said how much damage? So we did 25 plus he did. Was it how much actual points did he roll? Can anyone remember?
32.
32 in total.
So that hits 12 or hits to
that
kill?
Hits the coma.
Okay.
So that was over your pushback threshold. So 7 squares. So you basically get knocked back 7 squares
off the map.
Well, it's probably less because
it's actually not that because it's actually 7. It's actually 7 meters, isn't it? It's not 7 squares. It's 7 meters. I think.
Because his strength.
Oh, so how far is that then?
Yeah, that'll be what basically 3.5 squares.
1, 2,
out
3.
there. That's fine. That's cool. Yeah. So basically, he sort of winds up and bam, and he clocks you, and you kind of go, yeah, ouch. And you're I think basically, let's say you're gonna it's gonna take you around to even get off the ground because that hurt. That really did hurt. So next up, so he's taken that's two frames he's used. So he then uses a frame to head. He runs over to Captain Sonar, and he's going to take a punch at you as well. So this could be bad.
Nothing, mate. Nothing.
Let's have a look.
Don't worry about it. I laugh at him.
Okay. You might possibly want to activate your force field. That might be a good idea because if he connects with that punch like that.
Me?
Say again.
Can I do it before he punches me?
Yes, you certainly can. I'll let you use your frame because don't forget you've all got a spare frame. So I'm going to say that Kerrin's going to, Mr. Hyde's going to use that frame to recover, basically. So you're kind of keeping out of it just while you kind of get your breath. So you activate your force field, and it's that absorbs 4. So when we come to it, you'll need to roll 4d6, and that will tell us how much damage it absorbs. Okay, so I'm going to allow you to do that. So because basically you see this guy coming for you, and you're like, oh crap, because he's just knocked Hyde, clear backwards.
Come on, butter boy. Let's see what you got.
So what he does is he's gonna. So your defense class is also 6. So I think he's again got to hit you. It's a. So his weapon class 2, DC 6. So again, it's 10 or better. So it's easy to remember. So he comes over to you and good. Oh, lucky you. So yeah, your energy, your force field sort of crackles into life. Just before he gets you. Now, of course, he has still got he can use all of his frames. I'm just I'm pretty sure he gets. Yeah, so he's going to have another punch at you because again, he's just acting on instinct. So I'm going to have one more pop at you. Oh, you're so lucky. So he swings at you, and both times he misses. So that's his frames used up. Now, so Captain Sonar, you've used up your frames because you activated your force field. So Anorin, you've still got a frame left to use. So you can't make an energy attack. So you probably, if you what you could do is move. I'll let you move the hovercraft if you want.
I've got one frame.
Yeah, you've only got one frame left, so you can't really use the energy attack because that takes 2 frames. But unless you want to do anything else, of course, because there are other actions you can take. But
I think.
Or if you want, you can just hold the frame and use it next round.
You should drop the speed enhancement on me. I'm not going to need it next round.
Okay, drop the speed enhancement on Captain Sonar.
Yeah.
And switch it to regeneration for Hyde.
Yeah, okay, cool. We'll deal with that in a minute. Okay, fine. So that's perfect. So you'll use that to do that. So next round then. So I'm going to roll for him for initiative. So I'll go first. And if one of you could just roll for me. Okay, so I won by 3, right? So that's blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I think that gives me
1, isn't it?
2 frames. No, because I won by 3.
Okay.
So 3 or 4 means I get 2 frames. Okay, so he is. What's he gonna do?
Might not go so well now. I thought I was going to get my frames.
Do you know what? Okay, so I'm reading the description of his behaviour. He is going to he's going to fly over here, and he's just going to start punching this building again. So remember, he's not acting rationally. He reacted to the fact that you'd attacked him, and he just literally he's reacted to that initial attack, and he's just moved over here. And he just takes a punch at this building. He literally flies over here, and he just goes, and he just like smashes the bit. He just literally smashes the corner of the building, and like bricks fly off it. And and Captain Sonar, you're kind of like, because again, he's not thinking rationally. He's not, he's literally just reacting to what comes at him. So he's used up. He's going to use up those 2 frames. He's moved, and he just takes a couple of punches at this building, and cracks on with it. So back over to you guys. So you've now got your full 4 frames to act. So first, should we deal with Captain Sonar? You get initiative because you've got the highest dexterity. So you can go first if you wish. And what I'm going to do, chaps, is I'm going to carry you downstairs. So I'm just going downstairs. So keep talking. I'm listening.
What's the maximum amount of energy attack I can do?
You can do
2 frames for an ultrasonic attack, right?
Right. So it takes 2 frames to do an energy attack. You can do your ultrasonic attack. 15. You can basically do 10d6. I think the maximum is 10d6 damage in any one single attack, and you have to put it. You have to spread it equally between hits to kill and hits to coma.
And it's all on one dice roll, right? And I suck at
because if you hit him, then you just what you do is you say how many dice you want to put into it, and then you just roll the damage.
But I have to like the hit is based on one dice roll, isn't it?
But you're a super soldier, aren't you? So what if
I'm gonna roll like a 1. I've never landed an energy attack yet.
But what if you held your action and Hyde grew into combat, picked you up and threw you at Protector, knock him into the building? That way, because he can fly. If we can knock him into the building, yes, he can punch his way out. But there's a bit.
I mean, I could just run up and just punch him in the face. That's a pretty good move.
You know what? If it were me though, I'd be inclined to try and hit him with the energy attack, because at least you're at distance then.
Yeah. I don't. All right. Come on, let's give it a go.
If you get too close to him. Right, give me a second. I'm just relocating downstairs, chaps. So just give me 1 sec. Hold that.
I'm in range.
We could coordinate the attack so that you held your action, and you shot him at the same time I shot him.
Sorry.
Kind of do a double attack in one go.
Yeah, keep talking.
So
yeah. I mean, if you want to, I just we'll see what the dice have to say.
Because they're a harsh mistress.
At the same time, a round or 2. If he rests, then the regeneration will give him 1d6 regeneration per round, as it were, or per action.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for Hyde to get as much rest as he can, to try and recover some of those hits to coma.
Let's lay the smackdown on him. I can definitely shoot him with the maximum that I can do.
So basically, if you hit him with 10d6 is the maximum, and you have to there has to be no more than, there has to be at least 2d6 damage difference between hits to kill and hits to coma. So if you hit him with 10, you could do basically you could do 8 hits to coma and 2 hits to kill. Let me just double check that because there's a weird.
No, if it's going to be 2 difference, then it can only be like 6 and 4 or 7 and 6 and 4 or something like that.
Oh yeah, so you could do. You could do 60. You could do 6 if you're doing a 10d6 attack. You would do 6d6 to one and 4d6 to the other. So I would suggest you probably put it.
I'm going to try and knock him out.
So you want to use hits to coma? You're gonna hit him with hits to coma then, yeah?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to try and hit? Are you going to try and hit him, or are you going to shoot him with the energy blast?
I'm going to shoot him with an ultrasonic attack. 10d6.
Yeah. Also, because you've got because each attack that it takes an action, but because you've got 4 frames, you can hit him twice with the energy cannon. With your you can hit him twice with your ultrasonic attack. So if you succeed both attacks, that's potentially actually no, because the second one wouldn't. The second one would only do 5d6 because you've only got 15d6 to use.
So I have to decide how many d6 I'm going to do before I roll.
I mean, if it were me, I would do 10 in the first attack and then do 5 in the second, because ultimately the last thing you want to do is get up close and personal with him, as he's just proven. Right. So I would suggest you hit him.
I don't mind.
Might as well just hit him and then get the hell out of there.
Let's go. Let's just shoot him. 10d6. Okay.
Right. So basically, you're again, it's 10 or better to hit him because we've established that with your weapon class and his defense class. So 10 or better. So do the first one first. Perfect. So you've hit him. So give me a second. I'm going to just get I'll have to on my pen. Right, hold on one sec. I just need to grab a right. Actually, no, we'll come back to that. Right, so you've hit him with 10d6. Right, so 6d6 of that we're going to put into. You said you're going to put into hits to coma because you want to try and knock him out.
Yeah, I don't think we can. We just want to control him.
Okay, fine. So if you want to roll me 6d6 first of all. 7, 11, 17, 22.
And what? One more.
One more, yeah. And that's 25. Right, so 25 points of hits to coma. Now, he has dividers of 5. However, the energy attack reduces those by 2. So that's 25 divided by 3 is what, 8? So that takes his hits to coma. His hits to coma, so that's 8, which means I've just seen a pen literally within my eye line. So just give me one sec. So 8 points of hits to coma. Right, so plus 8. So let's see where we are at the moment. So that's 10, 13, 14. So you've so far done 15 hits to coma in total, which sounds bad, but that's pretty damn good actually. So if you want to roll the 4d6 for his hits to kill.
Yeah. 9,
and then lovely, 15. So that's 15. Again, dividers take it down to 3. So that's divided by 3, 5 points of damage. So that's 5. So that means his hits to kill are at 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 11. So okay. Well, you're making progress. He doesn't like that at all. You hit him with that. And
I'm gonna hit him again with my last 5 energy.
Yeah, so do the same again. So roll a d10.
20, right?
20, sorry, roll d20, sorry, apologies. Excellent. You hit him. So again, I would suggest
do 3 hits to coma and 2
and 2 hits to kill. Fine, so go same again. Yeah. So 3d6 for your hits to coma, 6, 11. And that is 14. So that's divided by 3 is what, 4 points of damage. Okay, and then do the 2 hits to kill. So 4 and then 1 point damage. But okay, fine, that's good. +1. Right. So you've essentially drained your energy reserves for the next. Unfortunately, that's you down for the next five rounds, I think. So you ain't going to be hitting him with your ultrasonic blast, but that's hurt him. So bad news is, of course, he kind of then is like, "Ooh, don't like that." So he's now looking at you.
I asked you to sign my trading card.
If you'd only signed my trading card, we could have avoided all this unpleasantness. Right. So next up to go is Anorin. So Anorin, what have you got up your sleeve?
I am going to hit him with. So given that Captain Sonar's out of range, unless he uses ice, I'm going to assume that we can.
Yeah, you can use the ice cannon. That's a good point. You can use the ice cannon, but because your inherent ability is over 5 rounds, then of course you've used that. So, but yeah, you have still got the ice cannon to defend yourself with.
So is it likely you're going to use the ice cannon, or I can jump out of this this flying car and you can jump in and use the gun in here?
The benefit of the ice cannon, if you use the ice cannon, don't forget, again, it takes a bit of doing, but if you hit him with the ice cannon, then you also bind him, so you basically encase him in ice. So that might also not be a bad tactic. It certainly slow him down if you.
I'm all right. You don't need to come and help me. Lay some smackdown on this dude.
Yeah, I agree. I think just because Captain Sonar can defend himself with the snow cannon. So
okay, so you're going to do that next round. This round, I'm going to drop 10d6 energy strike on him.
Right. Are you doing that with the energy cannon from the your own energy strike or the cannon?
My own energy strike, because it reduces damage divided by -2.
Perfect. Okay. So right. Well, I think it's 10 or better again.
Yep. So my weapon class is 3.
Yeah, he's got, and his defense class is 3, so it's 10 or better. Okay, that's a 10. So
he punches really hard, but he doesn't want to go toe to toe with me because I got +18 damage on every punch I do.
Yeah. So there you go. Perfect. So you've hit him with your energy strike. This is flame, isn't it? So you've hit him with your flame blast.
10d6.
And it is yeah. So you're going to do what? The same again. 6 hits to coma and 4 hits to kill.
Yep. So 6 hits to coma. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is
7, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19. -2 to so his dividers are, so it's 19. His dividers are 5 but reduced to 2, so that's 19 divided by 3 is what, 6?
Yep.
So that's 6 points of hits to coma, and then if you want to roll the other 2 dice for your hits to kill, other 4 dice, sorry, not. What's that? 10? Oh, 10. That's 20. And that is again divided by 3, so that's 6 points. Lovely. So bear with me. He's currently then taken and 17 and 25. Oh yeah, okay, that's good stuff. You are definitely making progress. And as you say, you hit him with the energy blast. And yeah, he's kind of uniform is like smouldering.
No, this is entirely hits to coma. I can choose whether it entirely hits to coma or hits to kill or split between the two. I'm going to do.
How can you do that?
That's what it says in the energy strike. The damage can be entirely hits to coma or hits to kill or split between the two.
Oh, okay.
Whatever the caster desires.
Okay.
So that was 19. So that was 39.
Yeah.
Divided by 3 is
13.
Yeah, hits to coma.
And what was that on? That was the
energy strike.
Hits Tacoma, and that was hits Tacoma.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on a minute. Right, okay, my bad. That's 7. Okay, right, okay, cool. Yeah, so I've adjusted that. Okay. Cool. So you've hit him, and are you going to hit him again and use up the rest of your dice?
If I
Because you've used up 10, haven't you? So you've got, how many have you got left? Your energy.
So I've got. I've got.
But no, your energy points. You've got 40. Of course, you've got magic points. Yeah, of course. It's not energy blast, is it? It's magic point.
I'm going to hit him one more time.
Yeah.
And then that's all my magic points gone. I think.
Right. So hit him again.
I've just double checking. I think I've got a couple left, but let's just hit him again. Exactly the same.
Yeah, hit him again. Well, I mean, ultimately, you've got at this point, you've got to try and take him out as much as possible.
So it's 10 hits Tacoma. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Good luck adding all those up quickly.
Quick, Kevin, they're going.
23.
I saw a 2. I saw a 2 in there, Kevin. Did you include that one?
I think there's a 3 as well.
23.
I made it 23. Yeah, so that's what, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Right. Oh, excellent, guys. Okay, hold on a minute. This is big. Hold on a minute. So,
I'm out
35. So you did 35, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you've staggered him.
Yes.
You have staggered him. Hold on a minute. Right, we need to find out what the hell does staggered mean. I can't find out what it actually does. Bear with me a second. I don't like to be the guy who's flicking through the book. 24. Hang on, 24. Here we go. So when somebody is staggered, if your character is they are staggered, the character moves at half their normal movement, and all attacks are reduced down to -2. By -2. So all attacks are at -2 to strike. So basically, he can only move half his movement, and he's -2 to any attack because you basically pummeled him. So great. So who's left? So Hyde, you have got an opportunity here. If you're willing to risk it, you could run into him and you could whack him with your cricket bat, and you could actually potentially knock him out.
Yeah, I was going to
risk.
Yeah, I was going to try and risk cover, but I think it's worth taking the risk. Otherwise, what, you get knocked out? Yeah, okay. I'm going to go.
I mean, if you want to come and do something tonight, yeah, get on with it.
Right.
If you
you
get the extra strength, don't you?
Exactly. I would.
I spent a battle the other night doing absolutely nothing.
So what you can do is, let's see, how far have you got going? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. So you've got 8. So 16 meters. Now you've got super speed anyway, right? So your movement is 8. So it would take you 2 frames. To move to get to him.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me 1 second, guys, because the dog is whimpering to go out. So I'm just going to. I don't want the dog to interrupt this exciting moment. Hold on a minute.
Finish him.
The charge into combat is 2d6 hits Tacoma. Bat slam. Your bat slam is 2d6 plus 6 hits Tacoma. So rather than charging into combat, I think if you did bat slam, that's a minimum of 8.
More likely. Yeah.
But also you've got more damage because of the extra strength you've got. So bat slam will give you probably plus 12.
Okay.
I think it's about plus 10 plus 12 because you've got I've given you the extra strength. Doubled your strength.
Is there any way that Captain Sonar can spray his margarita gun on the floor so I can slide along it? Just for style points, not for anything else.
So what you could do, if you charge in combat, but you kind of create that Iceman effect where you shoot the gun up and the ice creates a slide up.
That's it.
Him.
That's
right. Dramatic pause. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm back. Right. What are you going to do? About ice slides. What are you going to do?
We've I don't need to shoot my gun right now because if you'll recall earlier, I had a go at my my margarita mixer, and I went all Ghostbusters on it, and I've just conveniently sprayed the floor already in the direction.
Okay, so it's all prepared, right? Well, I'm going to use that ice, that margarita ice. So as I'm running, I'm gonna go into like a cricket bat pose as I'm sliding, right?
Yeah.
Batter up? Oh no, it wasn't batter up, was it? What was it?
It was. How's that?
How's that? Emma, what's a good
it's a bit
phrase?
naff, but I'm sure.
Is when you're saying like,
LBW.
LBW is not a phrase.
LBW. Yeah, if I could hit him in the leg.
Yeah.
Hit me in the leg, and I could say, leg before wicket. No, that's shit. That's
We might have to work on that one.
We'll work on it. Anyway, we've got the slide.
We need to workshop it. We need to workshop it a bit. Yeah.
Hit him in the Google.
You're gonna look like Frozone in The Incredibles.
That's it.
Hit me in the googlies. Yeah. That's right. You're like ice skating down the thing.
So, Steve, I think we're gonna go for a bat slam.
Love it. Let's do it.
So
I love the sound of that.
But also,
so why don't you move yourself down to him? Yeah. The good thing is because you've got your full 4 frames to act, right? So you can easily move in. Yes, you jump onto the ice.
Start running, and then I'm going to slide. Ooh, yeah.
Perfect. Right into him, and then bat slam. So his let's have a look and see what we can do. So his defense class we decided was 3.
Is that dropped because he's? It's not dropped because he's staggered.
No, it's his attack is. But I'm going to be gracious here because I like the sound of this very much. So just bear with me. Weapon class 2. Okay. So the bat slam is a weapon class 4. So you basically got to get 9 or better to hit him. But I'm going to give you a +2 because he is staggered.
Okay.
Because he's basically slammed into the wall. So he can't really get out of your way, if that makes sense. He's backed up against the wall. So as long as you roll an 11 or better, and you'll hit him.
Okay, here we go.
And you get 2 attempts at this. Look at that, lovely. Okay, so you've hit him. So you slide into him on ice, as you say. Dramatic image. You raise your bat as you slide on the ice towards him. So bat slam does. 2d6 plus 6 hits to coma.
Now he's got additional strength, so it's an additional d6, isn't it?
Yeah. So you get an additional d6 to that.
So
2d6 plus 12, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like, that's a 6. So
try that again, Chase. That's a 6.
Right, what about bowled over, mate?
Bowled over.
They say heads, don't they, when it goes up high?
Emma says they say heads when it goes up high.
Love it.
I don't know. They're all a bit. They're all a bit weak.
They're all a bit.
Okay,
I mean,
so
how's that for a hit?
Cricket's generally a bit naff, isn't it? So none of them are that cool. But anyway,
have that, you bastard.
All right, so here we go.
I still quite like how's that.
How's that? Yeah, I think that works best. Okay, so it's 66 plus 6.
Especially if you can deliver it in a common accent, like how's that?
How's that?
Good. There you go. So okay, let's So it was 2d6 plus 6. That's
2d6.
So it's 2d6.
9 plus 12 is 21. So that's divided by 5. So that's 4. And that is enough to knock him out.
Okay.
Oh,
so you have clobbered him. So wham, and you slap him with the cricket bat, and he kind of grunts and drops to the ground.
Quick, loot him. Turn out his pockets.
I tell you what. Yeah, loot him. I'll tell you what you could do. What Captain Sonar could do is you could use the frost cannon to basically improvise some handcuffs on him and sort of ice up his arms so that at least it will slow him. But he's going to be out certainly for a while.
See if he's got any green shield stamps on him.
I'm hosing him down with my frost cannon.
Perfect. So you encase him in ice. I mean, you leave him room to breathe.
Get a room.
But you basically encase him in ice so that he's tied up. So nice one. So that was he's quite tough. Golden Heroes can be quite tough. He's quite a strong opponent. Okay, so what you've done is you've managed to subdue him. So the
Is anyone carrying a Polaroid camera? I want a quick selfie with my hero.
Unfortunately, because you've iced up his arms, you can't actually get him to sign your card, which is unfortunate. But you know,
No, but I'll just teabag him and selfie myself with a Polaroid.
swings and roundabouts, right? Okay, fine. So you basically you kind of take a moment to you take a breath as he as I say, he's subdued, and the sort of there's like smoke rising from dust sort of blowing about from where he's clobbered the buildings, but basically things calm down. And again, as you'd expect, the dice agents kind of turn up too late, of course, because that's what they do. They turn up in a they turn up with the truck or a truck, and they've kind of once they're convinced that he's at least subdued for now, they will scoop him up. I haven't got the truck because I don't even know why I want to put the truck on, but it's I've got the truck. No, I haven't. Doesn't matter.
I mean, they didn't even bring gas, did they?
Yeah. So basically, they rock up and sort of again mop up the scene, and Agent Smith disembarks from the transport or from a like an armored car, and she says, "Listen, I spoke to you." It sort of gathers you together. She says, "Listen, I spoke to Python as you suggested, and your tactic worked. I would recommend, however, that none of you end up in a dark alley with her at any point because she was not happy. But she confirmed what Froststorm told us, that there is a submarine waiting. We've sent a scout. We've sent like a forward observer, and he's confirmed the location of this submarine, which is tied up downriver. Seems to be lightly guarded. So we suggest that the best thing to try and bring this to a conclusion is to board that submarine and find out what this base is that these two are talking about. Are you willing to assist us with this?
Are we willing to go in a submarine? Dude, I'm a
Captain
captain.
Sonar's afraid of water, I think.
Of course, I can definitely go.
Hang on a minute,
submarine.
isn't he in the Navy? I thought Captain
My middle
Sonar's in
name.
the Navy, isn't he?
That's what I said.
Great. So
Did I say something else?
Yeah, please.
No, I thought I was just saying I'm a captain, Captain Sonar.
You had a water phobia.
You literally need to be in a submarine.
Yeah. I can turn a dragon that breathes fire. I'm definitely going in the submarine.
I think I should get like 4 times buffs if I'm in a submarine to all my stats.
Okay. Well, just because you're like Aquaman, just because if you're in the water, you suddenly get stronger.
Yeah, no.
One thing you're not doing is talking to fish, though. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and nothing else with fish either. No, none of that weird stuff with the boys going on.
No, definitely none of that weird stuff. No. Great. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably wrap it up there because obviously the next scene is with the submarine, and I don't want to get into that because we'd have to sort of bring that to an abrupt halt. So I think what we'll do is we'll say that. So you, as I say, they gather up Protector, and they're obviously taking him away to be secured again, and it's agreed. So basically, what happens is the dice set up a perimeter, but well clear of where this submarine is. And what they do is they transport you there, and then we'll open up next time with you approaching the location of the submarine, and we'll see what happens then. So, has anyone got any questions or comments? Or
my magic points are off. Once again, I'm going to give a hide enough recovery to recover both. To go back to
yeah, to be honest, I'm going to play fast and loose with that. So as far as I'm concerned, you'll all be kind of rejuvenated back to full health, because again, it seems I know technically it'll only be a couple of hours later, but I think it's fair to say that you'll all be recovered back up to full full health next time. So I think I'm totally happy with that. I think. And yeah, I think other than that, I think we're good to go. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add, or everyone happy?
How do you in the rule book when it talks about strength feats for throwing things? For example, you said this dude was like super strong, so he could throw like a bulldozer.
Yep.
Goes all the way up to being able to throw like an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
How can you end up with a character that strong? That's not possible from dice roll, right? Character creation.
Not really. I mean, I've done, because I mean, I've the thing with Golden Heroes. I mean, God knows I love Golden Heroes. Like I said last year, I did like 50 odd characters for it, and it definitely works better at the kind of Marvel, the 80s Marvel kind of level. I mean, I've been tempted to try and stat up like Superman in Golden Heroes. You could do it, but it would be like 40 power rolls, because literally he would have, his super strength would be the top end of that, which would need to be strength grade 10 or something ridiculous. I don't know what it would be, but it would be pretty way up there.
From the rules.
You could roll strength 8 times, and therefore grade 8, but that's all you've got. That's super strength. And then
exactly. So if you then think he's also got to have
carrier, I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, literally.
I guess that's only useful if you can find an aircraft carrier to throw, though, isn't it?
I mean, couldn't you just put an entire building down on top of people?
Yeah, quite. I mean, when you get up to those strength levels, yeah, absolutely.
You could do that growth, and think you could get away with having level 3 growth and level 3 strength. And at the higher, when you are that much bigger, your strength is that much bigger, plus the extra 3 strength.
Yeah.
So yes, you can do it.
Yeah, so there are ways of doing it. I mean, as I say, and you could. The thing with Golden Heroes is, right, you have to work within its limits. So I mean, I could definitely stat up Superman, but it would be like the Golden Age Superman, right? So it would be leap tall buildings in a single bound. Bullets bounce off his chest, and he can like pick up an automobile and stuff. It just doesn't really cope well with those kind of ridiculous power levels. But certainly if you're doing for doing things like X-Men and like Avengers, if you're not going nuts with it, then it can cope with that, because that's what it was designed for, was the sort of late or mid 80s Marvel comics, Spider-Man.
Simon
and you could
bigger Marvel fan than you fan. Bigger Marvel fan.
Yeah, I mean, we've told that story before, but this was originally meant to be a Marvel. It was originally done as a Marvel game. It was written as a Marvel game, and it's only because the Games Workshop didn't get the rights to the Marvel game that it got turned into a generic game. But Simon Burley has got a version of it that's got all of the Marvel superheroes of the time sort of statted out, which I would literally give a limb to get hold of. I pestered him a few times about it. Haven't quite managed to get it yet, but that would be cool to get that. But I think, as I say, I don't know if it's the game for Superman. But yeah, I've never dealt with a character that strong. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because it's very difficult to kind of play around that.
But Earthlord was the first of the.
Say again?
Earthlord was quite strong.
Yeah, the mega villains. Yeah, but they're all like 20 power rolls, aren't they? They're kind of up there. And again, that's a mega villain is somebody who's designed to be handled by 8 superheroes, all with like 8 or 10 power rolls. So
you can do street level at 6 power rolls. You can do standard level at 8, but you could go, okay, well, this is going to be a slightly higher level, so we'll go with 10 to 14 power rolls. And you can take,
I mean, you can do as many as you want. Exactly, you can do as many as you want. I mean, there's the rules recommend 8 because that seems to be the sort of Marvel, the Marvel level. But yeah, I mean, you can do as many as you want. I mean, like I say, you could do 14 or 20. It doesn't really matter. But also, I mean, you saw how tough Protector was, right? I mean, because he had his hits to kill. I think his hits to coma was only like 42. Hits to kill was 40, but given that he had 45 hits to coma, 42 hits to kill. But given when he's got damage dividers of 5. That's pretty tough to take, pretty hard to take. And that took 3 of you, and that was close,
All energy weapons reduced the damage divided by 2.
That's correct, yeah. So again, somebody like that, the best option is you stand off at range and you hit him with energy weapons. But then if you're using superpowers, you have that problem where you only have the dice only go over 5 rounds. So again, as we saw tonight, you know, you hit him with everything, but then you've got nothing to hit him with for the next 3 rounds. Now, luckily, you kind of tacticked your way through that by splitting it between you. But if you've only got one person with energy blast or whatever, so yeah, it can be quite tactical. Yeah, he's bad. He's pretty bad news. So I know you handled that well. I wasn't sure whether you take him out, but again, that was a nice little combo. Which is, again, in the spirit of the comics, right? It's you're working together. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, good job, everyone. So has anyone got anything else, or are we happy to wrap it up there for tonight? Fabulous.
Thanks.
Lovely. Thanks, folks. Great fun tonight. Appreciated that. Kerrin, great to have you back. And yeah, on that note, we'll sign off and say thanks to everyone. I'll stop the recording now, and I'll catch you next time, hopefully.